Hello Internet, I am the hero of Julios once again with another One Piece chapter summary. This week's chapter is chapter 1022, The Stars Take the Stage. Our artwork for this week is a little frog playing hide and seek with the Tatanas, which is pretty cute. You just see them wandering around. In the bottom corner there's another one looking up, and I'm not sure if the frog is looking for them or if they're looking for him, but it's still cute nonetheless. But without further ado, let's get into the actual chapter itself, because there is actually a lot going on in this particular one. So the chapter starts off with a brief explanation of the Straw Hat, alliance coming in with 4,500 people versus Kaido's 30K, and a brief description of both sides going at it and how through Tama's powers and Queen's actions and just Luffy and crew being as strong as they are with Kid and Law, in tow and all that, how the numbers have greatly shifted. It finalizes by showing Black Maria, Who's Who, and Sasaki being properly defeated and saying that they are down and out. Personally, I'd like to think that this does officially mean that the Tobi Roppo are down and out. There have been some theories going around that, they're going to get back up because of their high durability. We saw Ulti take that giant stab from Big Mom and still get up enough to come after Nami. Granted, Nami took her out with one attack because of how highly weakened she was, and Page 1, being the weakest of the Tobi Roppo, theoretically, got taken out in a single punch by Big Mom, that people thought maybe he'll get back up because all he took was a punch. But if he is the weakest, then maybe one punch from Big Mom was all it would take. He might just be the newest member. Maybe Ulti had been one for a while and she finally convinced Kaido to let her little brother be a member, or I don't know. It's hard to really, without a proper flashback, it's hard to get all this kind of little facts here and there. But with the Tobi Roppo out of the picture and, the Straw Hats still up and at 'em, I think this is going to lead into the Straw Hats versus Kaido. I really like the idea of it. It's been so long since we've seen the Straw Hats work together as a collective crew. You'll see by the end of the chapter why it might not be within the next few chapters. It might be a little bit before it happens. But overall, I still think it's going to be Straw Hat crew versus Kaido, either with Luffy or until Luffy gets there for the big one-on-one. It's hard to tell at this point, but I still want to see it happen. Finally, in this little introduction, we see Luffy down on the ground. He's big and, ready to fight because he just finished eating. I believe you see Caribou in the background who is, yelling at Straw Hat. I don't know if it's just to, mock him, belittle him, or, how could you have eaten all of my supply? Whatever the reason, Luffy's down there yelling, probably yelling about kicking Kaido's butt. That sounds like something Luffy would yell about, but that's really the only glimpse we get at Luffy. We do get a little bit of narration saying that there's only 15 minutes left before Onigashima is above the Flower Capital and Kaido drops it like it's hot. Now, it says 15 minutes left. We're reading One Piece. I could come up with a couple examples, but the first example that came to mind was all the way back in Alabasta, when there was only 4 minutes left before Crocodile's bomb went off in the middle of town square, and that took 6 chapters. And that was 4 minutes. So we could have these 15 minutes take up the rest of 2021 before we actually hit the 15 minutes are up. So even though it's there for dramatic presence, you guys got to remember we're reading week to week right now. So it's gonna be a long time before 15 minutes actually means something. I wouldn't start panicking until the narrator says 4 minutes or 2 minutes left kind of deal. Next up, we pick up where we left off with Fukurokuju and Raizo going at it, ninja versus ninja. We don't see a ton of their techniques. We see the Shadow Clone Jutsu, and Fukurokuju is able to control his earlobes like tendrils with his earrings as like hammers almost. The way they make a clanging effect. I'm not sure if that's almost like a castanet kind of thing, or if it's just supposed to clang. But regardless, the two of them are going at it, and Raizo is basically asking him, why are you siding with Orochi? He killed Odin. He was a terrible leader. He's a coward. He's stupid as hell. And Fukurokuju goes, look, we just serve the Shogun of Wano. That's our job. Doesn't matter who the Shogun is. We serve the Shogun. You're the idiot for clinging to a dead guy. And Raizo responds with, we're of course we're clinging to a dead guy. We're dead too. All of us. We died the day Odin died. And we are right now living as ghosts. Each of us, the 9 scabbards, are just vessels for the future of Wano and Momonosuke. We're just ghosts. And as he's giving this little speech, it cuts to the rest of the scabbards, whether they're fighting or they're, on the ground bleeding out. It's interesting to see that Kinemon, Kiku, and Ashura are still down on the ground bleeding. Oda has killed characters before, but usually when they die, it's big and ceremonious, but with this imagery, I can't help but think maybe Oda's trying to actually cement real death for once. I mean, I know, with Pell and Pound and Pagaya, sometimes we see a dramatic death and the character isn't dead, but Pedro died, and we're gonna touch back on Pedro in a little bit, but Pedro died. Pedro's actually dead. Like, real dead. And maybe Kinemon's dead too. As much as I would hate that, I like Kinemon. I think he was one of the more interesting characters we've had travel with the Straw Hats. Maybe not levels like Vivi, but it was definitely cool to see him and the things he could do, and he taught Zoro how to cut fire, so it's kind of sad, but also that's the real horror of war. People die. And they don't come back in a dramatic fashion. And I wish there was a lighter note to jump onto, but right after this, we cut to Killer versus Hawkins. Now, I put money on Killer with the big old sickles. He's fighting a guy made of straw. It just seemed pretty obvious who was going to win this fight. But in this fight, as the two of them are going at it, Killer's, getting some pretty good hits in. And then Hawkins asks him, hey, have you ever asked yourself, you asked me how many lives do I have left, but did you ask me whose lives I have left? And as Killer stabs into Hawkins, we see during their fight with Big Mom, Law turns over to Kid and says, what's up? And Kid goes, I don't know, something just stabbed me. Cut back to Killer and Hawkins is like, that's right. If you kill me, you kill your captain. The most wonderful and frustrating thing about devil fruits in One Piece is we don't know everything they can do until they're explained to us. Heck, we still don't even know the full limits of the Gum Gum fruit, because we know Awakening's a thing. And we've been with Luffy since Chapter 1. So, how? How did this happen? Hawkins made a doll of Kid to die in his stead? Has he been holding on to that? Was that a part of their alliance? Was that like an agreement? Was like Apu and Kid like, okay, if this alliance is gonna work, we'll give ourselves to Hawkins as one-ups? Like, does that mean Apu is also in danger because Kid or Hawkins, has his life? Does Hawkins have lives of other members of the Beast Pirates? Can Hawkins do this to Kaido? How does this work? My guess is we'll see in the next couple chapters. Maybe Hawkins will explain it in more detail, or we'll get a brief flashback of how Hawkins pulled it off, or how he does it in general. Because it seems like it's just something he can just do with this weird voodoo power. Maybe it's based on his cards. Maybe it's based on his devil fruit's, connection with other people. or it's just a really, really powerful devil fruit and I'm reading way too deep into this. But regardless, Killer is facing an extreme problem right now because obviously he doesn't want to kill Kid, and now he's fighting an opponent who can only be defeated by doing that. So it would seem. To end the chapter, we've got a big problem down in the presentation hall as King and Queen are rampaging through. They are taking out all the traitors and they are hunting for Roronoa Zoro because I'm gonna guess some message got to King that he actually damaged Kaido, and the two of them are like, alright, he's really in a weakened state. If we kill him while he's still a little bug, we never have to worry about him again. So they're looking for him. We see Marco's on his last legs. We see Sanji on the ground because Sanji's trying to take both of them on at the same time and can't really handle it too well. He does manage to get up again because he's going to distract King and Queen while Chopper and Miyagi and Tristan get Zoro away. For some reason, the drug is taking a little bit to take effect and heal Zoro up. Before Sanji can get to fighting Queen, we see in the distance Sparrow's got his bow and arrow ready, made of candy, and he's taking aim and he's looking for Sanji and he's like, oh, there you are, Vinsmoke. You know, if you had just been a good little boy and married Pudding, I wouldn't have to be working with these brutes. So let's just... He's got his aim and he's almost got Sanji. And that's when Master Cat Viper shows up and says, excuse me, sir, I would like to talk to you about my best buddy, Pedro, and what you did to him. Nekomamushi slams into him and takes the fight outside. That's going to happen in a few chapters. That'll be fun. Unfortunately, King does catch up and prepares this, like, huge, fiery explosion, throws it at Zoro, only to have it blocked by, like, the last breath of energy that Marco has. King and Queen, they get back together, they, get ready to fight Marco, and Marco tells them, okay, hang on. I'm sorry. That was all I got. That was the last I have. I just wanted to set the stage for the stars of the show. And as he says that, the drug kicks in, Sanji gets Diablo Jambe up, and the two of them, Zoro and Sanji, land solid blows on both King and Queen. And as the two of them are landing, Zoro looks at Sanji and says, hey Sanji, when we beat these two guys, and Sanji goes, I know, Luffy will be that much closer to King of the Pirates. This is awesome for a few reasons. One, 2-on-2 fight between Kaido's top men and Luffy's top men. And the other reason this is super awesome is Zoro and Sanji didn't insult each other just now. They're both not thinking about moss heads in my way, swirly brows is in my way. Oh, I should mention, Zoro didn't call Sanji by name. That's that would be way more mind-blowing than anything. But the two of them, they aren't thinking about each other being in the way. They're thinking, the two of us need to beat the two of them. We're doing it for Luffy. It's like when you get your siblings together and you're like, okay, well, I know we argue, I know we fight, but Mom's birthday's coming up. And we gotta work together. And that's kind of what's going on here. So I'm hoping next chapter focuses on this fight. It would be really dramatically annoying if it wasn't. I'm super looking forward to this because I love teamwork. I love 2-on-2 fights. I love group fights. I love collaborations. Some of my favorite YouTube videos throughout all the years I've been watching YouTube have all been collab videos. Whether it's musicals or just like crossover videos where like one channel has part 1 and the other channel has part 2. Whatever the reason, I love collaboration. I love teamwork. It's one of the reasons I love One Piece. And this fight is going to be awesome. I'm hoping there's going to be a ton of combo attacks from Zoro and Sanji working together. Maybe like Diablo Jambe burning Onigiri or something. But however it turns out, it's going to be awesome. Now, before I go, I do want to mention one more tidbit. When Marco blocked King's attack, the reason I waited till the end is because I got a few theories about this. As Marco blocked King's attack, Marco mentions that he had heard rumors about this ancient fire conjuring race that lived at the top of the Red Line, thought to be extinct. But you're here, King. So what does that mean? Now, we heard about this before, like, knowing that kings from an extinct race isn't unheard of, because a while ago at the start of Wano, Big Mom mentioned this as well. She said, there's 3 races missing from my kingdom, you're one of them, and you're extinct, so I need you to come back to my place and marry one of my daughters, or, have children, bring your race into my family kind of deal. And King turned her down, obviously, because he works for Kaido. But now we know his race, A, can conjure fire, so it's not a devil fruit power, it's literally just something King can do, it has nothing to do with his pterodon form. And we know they lived atop the Red Line. Up until now, the only thing we've known to live on the Red Line is Marie-Joie, is the Celestial Dragons. I'm not exactly sure how many theories are going to come up, but my theory is that the Celestial Dragons and King being able to conjure fire, perhaps King is of a draconic race, and the reason he wears all the getup that he does, the fact that you can't see any of his skin, is that while Kaido is a dragon because of the power of his devil fruit, what if King is a dragon because he's a dragon? It's just one theory, and as we get through the chapters, I'm hoping, like I've said before, I'm really hoping for the big Kaido flashback that's like 8 chapters long, and we learn his story from joining the Rock's crew all the way to becoming the King of the Beasts, and we learn a little bit about the rest of his crew along the way. We learn about his devil fruit and how that works. We learn about Yamato and how all that's going on. Kaido, obviously Yamato has a mother if Kaido has a child, so with that, want to learn how that happened. I'm interested in the Tobi Roppo. They all used to be former captains. What kind of captains did they used to be? How did Who's Who find out about Kaido's crew and join, being a former Marine? I'd like to know more about Queen and Mads. I'd like to know more about King and his fire race. And I think all of that would be answered if we followed the journey of Kaido. At least in some small part. Regardless, though, this was a big chapter, this was a lot to talk about, and I'm glad we went through with this. But with that, this chapter comes to a close. So, thank you for watching as always, and I will see you in the next video. This is the hero Julios, Xing out.